Hi, my name is Sandy Carter. I'm IBM's General Manager of Ecosystem Development, and this is our coffee break. In fact, today we're going to focus a little bit on data and analytics as well as cloud. Now, according to our IBM Entrepreneur Program, partner Rifiniti said that 50% of office space is unused. Pretty amazing, right? In the U.S. alone, that cost us about $180 billion. But because of the Internet of Things, buildings are becoming smarter and they produce all kinds of data. So harnessing and analyzing that data helps organizations to optimize the space and increases the productivity as well as cutting costs for those organizations and their environment. So what we're going to do today is we're going to hear from Michael and Irina, who are co-founders of Rifiniti, on how big data, analytics, and cloud come together to create a smarter space for our most valuable asset, that workforce. So welcome. Why don't you tell us briefly about your company and a little bit about your solution?
Rifiniti is a software analytics company based in Boston, and we provide business intelligence for workplace optimization to companies. What we found is that most companies really don't have their space well optimized. The industry average is 40 to 50% optimization of space and usage of space every day around the globe. And the key factors for that are several. Very mobile workforce, mergers and acquisitions, and constant changes in the office portfolio. So our solution for that is very data-driven. We provide companies with faster and better and cheaper analytics for continuous improvement of their office space.
Now, as you just said, your solution is very data-driven, but what kind of data do buildings produce? I mean, what does it tell us about how an office space is utilized?
Buildings are throwing off more and more data today as the Internet of Things proliferates. Unfortunately, most of this data is siloed. It often is single purpose. So a typical example of that is badge security data. Somebody puts in place a badging system at the front door to check whether employees are allowed to be entering that building or whether guests are authorized, and that's usually where it ends. However, that badge data can tell us a lot about utilization. Unfortunately, most companies don't go to the next step, and so they allow employees to badge in but not badge out. So without our analytics, it's hard to leverage that data to understand utilization. In addition to that, buildings are also throwing off other data sets such as energy use or occupancy based on occupancy sensors. All those devices generate mounds and mounds of data that often just pile up somewhere and aren't used for any other purpose. We leverage these different data sets and combine them with algorithms to produce the analytics in our software platform.
Now, you mentioned how you combine these various sets of data and really work with them, but how do you get the most out of the data, and how do you turn that into a meaningful business insight?
So we provide decision support for the smarter workplaces. We have different modules that aggregate that data and provide actionable information to the client on portfolio planning, so they can plan for the next 5 and 10 years on how the company is going to grow, as well as space optimization. What are the kinds of space they need, how big the conference room should be, workplace configuration, as well as innovation productivity. Where do people tend to work? How are departments using the space? And do they need to be co-located? So different modules for planning.
Now, when we talk about data and analytics, we also want to talk about the cloud. What does the cloud offer in terms of providing organizations with better access? And what are the real benefits of the cloud?
One of the advantages of using the cloud is that we can deploy immediately without requiring any resources on the customer's side. So we don't need to get IT involved, we don't need to provide servers and storage on site. Customers can have direct access to our platform and the analytics almost immediately. The other advantage of using the cloud is that we can store unlimited amounts of data, so no data set is too trivial for us, and again, it places no demand on the customer to provide storage and provide resources to capture that data and for us to analyze it. In addition to that, the cloud has extraordinary power of resources for computing power that enables us to run simulations and analytics using whatever resources we need and get results to customers in very short order. This is not something that would be possible without the cloud.
So those are really some great important advantages of the cloud that I think all businesses should keep in mind. But I'd love to know, what have been your most important lessons that you've learned around creating an effective analytics strategy?
What we've learned about creating an analytics strategy for our clients is that it begins with the data. Unless they have the data, there's no analytics that we can do that would help them. And so helping them get their arms around what data sets are required and how to get their hands on those, and begin with these elementary ones and then scale to more sophisticated ones, such as tracking all the IP login events on the corporate network, which requires more resources and more cooperation with IT. Our clients can build analytics capabilities, leveraging initially very simple data sets and then scaling to others, and through our algorithms combining different data sets. So the strategy is to start simple and then scale as the clients see the value and start asking for more.
So now let's wrap this up. I'd like to hear your final thoughts. Your solution focuses on space utilization at this moment, but what do you think is the next innovation in workplace optimization?
So we began with space utilization because it's so massively inefficient in most enterprises. But as we all know, a company's most important asset is their employees, and understanding workflow and the interaction of different departments and different employee groups with each other is a huge opportunity for optimizing productivity and innovation. So we're taking the same data sets and the same analytics and starting to leverage those to give enterprises more insight into how they can increase employee cooperation, productivity, and innovation.
So thank you so much for being here. I am so amazed every day by the transformation analytics is accelerating in our ecosystem, and I will never think about my office building the same way. Smarter buildings are really helping us to create a smarter workforce. So thank you. This has been our Social Business Coffee Break.